We are live.
No, I don't
Temporarily,
want to. I
temporarily
don't
so is
want
Rob
to.
and Cat.
You can't make me do it. There's no way.
Cat and Rob are temporarily live.
Temporarily, they'll always. Well, he will always be alive in my heart.
All right, and she's going to be alive in the end of the book anyway, so
Or if you could call her that.
sort of. At least not dead or undead.
Yeah.
You didn't put Cat 7 in the title.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Normally, I can look up.
like you said, it's not known as Cat 7. It's known as the Red Wedding.
Well, I mean, normally I'll look up your email and it tells me the chapter and the number and everything. But apparently, my email list thing is full and I didn't get any new ones.
Oh,
I don't know how to race them. My wife usually does that for me. So I didn't know the number of the chapter. So
ah.
to slough my way through, I just put the red wedding.
Well, if you're out of Google Space, one thing you can do if you have some videos and Google Photos, what you can do is you can upload those as private videos to YouTube and then delete them out of Google Photos. That's what I like to do with free up space.
Yeah, well, Chris is in charge of the technical stuff, and he wasn't here.
Fair enough. You are. Introduce yourself.
Oh, I am old new dude. He is.
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son. I don't think we did that.
You got
Did
me
we do it?
ranting. I forgot what we were doing.
Maybe we didn't do that. I don't know if we did that or didn't do that. Anyway.
No, we didn't do that.
Mother Ryan says, I might be napping the stream, but wanted to say hello. Radio Westeros uploaded a new stream this morning. I saw that there was a Radio Westeros.
I've also been seeing a lot about
House of the Dragon?
the potential of Winds of Winter by Christmas, maybe, or for
Sure.
Christmas. So yeah, there's just several people that's been doing videos on it.
This is based on George saying that in several years from now he hopes to have some more duck and egg after he finishes Winds of Winter. But anyway.
I didn't read the blog. I don't know. I just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I mean, as Preston pointed out, like that's going to be like the date he's talking about hoping to have those by is like years from now, like 5 years from now or something. Anyway, Sanji says, "Hi all." Sanji, mother beat us both today. Chris, yeah, tough chapter, but we can do it together. Wailing from behind the wall, or wailing from the wall. Is that what he says? Mr. Crow, congrats,
Yeah,
mother.
Hey, Descartes.
The Crow says hello.
Sanji, Chris,
Here's
mother.
breakfast. Okay, well, she's not going to take a nap after all, I guess. All right.
The excitement of seeing me cry is just
Too much.
yeah.
Too much to resist.
All right. Never mind.
I. Fair enough.
I was trying to rant to put starting this chapter, but I couldn't think of anything. My brain farted, so I guess we got to start the chapter.
Let's do it. Storm 51, Catalan 7, the Red Wedding. The drums were pounding, 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 and her head with them. Pipes wailed and flutes trilled from the musicians' gallery at the foot of the hall. Fiddles screeched, horns blew, the skins skirled a lively tune. The drumming drove them all. The sounds echoed off the rafters, whilst the guests ate, drank, and shouted at one another below. Walter Frey must be deaf as a stone to call this music. Catelyn sipped a cup of wine and watched Jingle Bell prance to the sounds of Alicent. At least she thought it was meant to be Alicent. With these players, it might as easily have been the Bear and the Maiden Fair. So we get back-to-back chapters where our characters wonder if Walter's losing his hearing. Almost as if these musicians cannot really play their instruments and are present for a different reason.
Yep.
Outside, the rain still fell, but within the twins, the air was thick and hot. Fire roared in the hearth, and rows of torches burned smokily from iron sconces on the walls. Yet most of the heat came off the bodies of the wedding guests, jammed in so thick along the benches that every man who tried to lift his cup poked his neighbor in the ribs. I wanted to reiterate how much I despise every Bolton, says Mother Roy. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Another reason to jam them in like that,
Yep.
it's extremely hard to fight
Right.
that cram together.
Yeah. Yeah. I was definitely thinking that as I was reading that too. Even on the dais, they were closer than Catelyn would have liked. She'd been placed between Sir Ryman Frey and Roose Bolton, and had gotten a good noseful of both. So at this point, they're probably thinking that they're going to try and protect her, right? Because I mean, the goal we learn later that something went wrong, and the goal was not for her to get hurt. So the fact that she's specifically between, the heir and the Lord of the Dreadfort, like literally the top two people in charge of this, these two factions, right?
Right.
Sir Ryman drank as if Westeros was about to run short of wine, and sweated it all out under his arms. He bathed in lemon water, she judged, but no lemon could mask so much sour sweat. Roose Bolton had a sweeter smell to him, yet no more pleasant. He sipped Hippocras in preference to wine or mead, and ate but little.
Well, now, is this the first time we get a hint at what Bruce Bolton smells like?
A sweeter smell to him, yet no more pleasant. I don't know, maybe.
Well, I mean, just
Probably. I doubt
a
anybody
little
else.
nod to Bolton, maybe. He doesn't quite smell like he should.
Yeah, I don't know what that would signify though. Sweeter smell, yet no more pleasant. Anyway, not
Yeah,
much of a hint
well, I mean,
if it's a hint, doesn't seem like much of one to me. But anyway,
you hush.
well, I don't know. I mean, for some reason he's telling us this. I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. But you're right. For some reason he thinks it's important to tell us that.
Yeah, well, you got the one guy beside him sweating profusely.
Right.
Because I mean, it's hot in there. There's so many people. They're jammed.
Well, and he's drinking Hippocras, so maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Anyway. Catelyn could not fault him for his lack of appetite. The wedding feast began with a thin leek soup, followed by a salad of green beans, onions, and beets, river pike poached in almond milk, mounds of mashed turnips that were cold before they reached the table, jellied calves' brains, and a leche of stringy beef. This poor fare set before a king, the calves' brains turned Catelyn's stomach. Yet Robb ate it uncomplaining, and her brother was too caught up with his bride to pay much attention. You'd never guess Edmure complained of Rosalind all the way from River Run to the Twins. They don't skimp on getting people drunk, but they definitely do go all. But they definitely do not want to waste a lot of money feeding people they're going to kill.
Right.
You would never guess Edmure complained of Rosalind all the way from River Run to the Twins. Husband and wife ate from a single plate, drank from a single cup, and exchanged chaste kisses between sips. Most of the dishes Edmure waved away. She could not blame him for that. She remembered little of the food served at her own wedding feast. Did I even taste it? She spent the whole time gazing at Ned's face, wondering who he was. Poor Rosalind's smile had a fixed quality to it, as if someone had sewed it onto her face. Well, she is a maid wedded. The wedding's yet to come. No doubt she's as terrified as I was. I'm guessing she's a little more terrified than Cat was.
Probably.
Robb was seated between Alex Frey and Fair Walden, two of the more nubile Frey maidens. At the wedding feast, you will not refuse to dance with my daughters, Walder Frey had said. It would please an old man's heart. His heart should be well pleased then. Robb had done his duty like a king. Danced with each of the girls, with Edmure's bride and the eighth Lady Frey, with the widow Amy and Roose Bolton's wife Fatwalda, the pimply twins Sarah and Sara, even with Sheree, Lord Walder's youngest, who must have been all of 6. Catelyn wondered whether the Lord of the Crossing would be satisfied, find cause for complaint, and all the other daughters and granddaughters who had not yet had a turn with the king. Your sisters dance very well, she said to Sir Ryman Frey, trying to be pleasant. What's Pod saying here? What if he didn't eat because he gets sustenance from trading the life force out of people? Fair enough. Oh, man. They're aunts and cousins. Sir Ryman drank a swallow of wine, the sweat trickling down his cheek and his beard. So George harkens back to the skipped generation earlier when Ryman said his father awaits here, right? It specifically pointed out that the daughters of Walder Frey are his aunts and cousins, and not his. The daughters and granddaughters are his aunts and cousins, and not his sisters. I don't remember much from my wedding. My mother was a nurse, and she kind of drugged me. Okay. I don't think you're supposed to be drugged for your
I
wedding.
was hungover as hell,
Eh,
but I remember wedding pretty well.
Yeah, I'm sure plenty of people have probably been blackout drunk after weddings. I mean, it's almost a meme of like TV and movies, right? As people waking up and they didn't even realize remember that they got married because they're blackout drunk.
There you go.
Anyway, my point is George harkens back to the skip generation here. A sour man and in his cups, Calvin thought. The late Lord Frey might be miserly when it came to feed his guests, but he did not stint on the drink. Ale, wine, and mead were flowing as fast as the river outside. That was what I was saying there, right? He's definitely not going to go cheap on the drink here.
Yeah.
Great John was already roaring drunk. Lord Walter's son Merritt was mashing him cup. Sir Walter Frey had passed out trying to keep up with the food. Catlin was sooner Lord Umber had seen fit to stay sober, but telling the Great John not to drink was like telling him not to breathe for 2 hours. Paul John Umber and Robin Flint sat near Rob, the other side of Fairwalda and Alex respectively. Neither of them was drinking. Patrick Ballister and Daisy Mormont, they were her son's guards this evening. The wedding feast was not a battle. Don't be so sure of that. There were always dangers when men were in their cups, and a king should never be unguarded. Catlin was glad of that, even more glad of the sword belts hanging on pegs along the walls. No man needs a longsword to deal with jellied calves' brains. Characters are often wrong. Everyone thought my lord would choose fair Walda, Lady Walda Bolton was told Sir Wendell, shouting to be heard above the music. About Walda was a round pink butterball with watery blue eyes, limp yellow hair, and a huge bosom. Yet her voice was a fluttering squeak. It was hard to picture the dreadfort in the place fair. My lord grandfather offered Roos his broadweight in silver as dowry, though. So my lord of Bolton picked me. Girl's chin jiggled when she laughed. I weigh 6 stone more than fair Walda, but that was the first time I was glad of it. I'm Lady Bolton now, and my cousin's still a maid, and she'll be 19 soon, poor thing. Lord of the Dreadfort gave the chattering mind, Captain saw. Sometimes he tasted a bite of this, a spoon of that, tearing bread from a loaf with short, strong fingers. The meal could not distract him. Bolton made a toast to Walter's grandsons, and the wedding feast began, pointedly mentioning that Walter and Walter were in the care of his bastard. The way the old man squinted at him, his mouth sucking at the air, Catlin knew he had heard the unspoken threat. Sadly, Roos is insisting on going through with betraying Rob rather than preventing such betrayal. The other thing there is she's commenting on how intensely focused he is, right? And she's implying that he's focused on Walter Frey. Anyway, but just something interesting.
Also, the Bolton eating a bit of this and a bit of that on the Bolton theory does kind of bring the Melisandre I got to remember to eat, if not just for
Sure.
the other people see me eat type thing.
Sure. Although I actually think the others are the vampires in the story, but anyway, they don't seem. It seems like they can't come out at night. Like they have no magic at night. They turn into mist. It seems like they can't be in the sun.
Well, I mean that might be the skin that Bolton wears is why he's able to come out uh, during the day. Maybe.
You blanked out for me there for a second, but I still heard it what you said.
Yeah, I paused. I waited for it to come back. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
The signal does not like the Red Wedding either.
I guess not. Aren't the Wents? Oh, are the Wents supposed to be vampires? Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, turning into bats. Yeah. The vampires. I mean, yeah, because they're supposed to be the bats. That makes sense.
What is the Lothors or the sigil that Jamie has on his shield? The bat that he gives to Brienne.
Yeah.
What house is that? It's not Went. It's the one before them, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. Lofston, something like that.
I can't remember.
Was there ever a wedding less joyful? She wondered, until she remembered her poor Sansa and her marriage with him. Mother, take mercy on her. She has a gentle soul. The heat and smoke and noise were making her sick. Musicians in the gallery might be numerous and loud, but they were not especially gifted. Catelyn took another swallow of wine and allowed a page to refill her cup. 2 more hours and the worst will be over. I guess that's true.
Yeah.
By this hour tomorrow, Robb would be off to another battle, this time with the Iron Men at Moat Cailin. Strange how that prospect seemed almost a relief. He'll win his battle. He wins all his battles. The Ironborn without a king. Besides, Ned taught him well. Drums were pounding. Jingle Bell hopped past her once again. It was so loud she could scarcely hear his bells. So this is one of those uses of the name where his father could have been used, and by using Ned instead of his father, you could sort of see a distancing Ned from being his father.
Yeah.
Just as this is consistently done with Dany's parents. See, Triple Figures episode 4. Above the din came a sudden snarling as 2 dogs fell upon him. They rolled across the floor, snapping and biting, as a howl of mirth went up. Someone doused them with a flagon of ale, and they broke apart. One limped toward the dais. Lord Walter's toothless mouth opened in a bark of laughter as the dripping wet dog shook ale and hair all over 3 of his grandsons. House lost them, yeah.
Thanks, Bud.
The sight of the dogs made Catelyn wish once more for Grey Wind, but Robb's direwolf was nowhere to be seen. Lord Walter had refused to allow him in the hall. Your wild beast has a taste for human flesh, I hear. Ha! The old man had said. Rips out throats, yes. I'll have no such creature at my Rosalind's feast. Amongst women and little ones, all my sweet innocents. Grey Wind is no danger to them, my lord, Robb protested. Not so long as I am there. You were there at my gates, were you not? When the wolf attacked the grandsons I sent to greet you? I heard all about that. Don't think I didn't. No harm was done. No harm, the king says. No harm? Peter fell from his horse. Fell! I lost a wife the same way, falling. His mouth worked in and out. Or was she just some strumpet? Bastard Walter's mother. Yes, now I recall. She fell off her horse and cracked her head. What would your grace do if Peter had broken his neck? Huh? Give me another apology in place of a grandson? No. Might be your king. I won't say you're not. The king of the north. Huh? But under my roof, my rule. Have your wolf or have your wedding, sire. You'll not have both. He's not wrong about how dangerous falling off a horse is, but of course he does have ulterior motives here.
Very.
Catelyn could tell that her son was furious, but he yielded with as much courtesy as he could summon. Pleases Lord Walter to serve me stewed crow smothered in maggots, he told her. He didn't ask for a second bowl, so he had. The Great John had drunk another of Lord Walter's food under the table. Peter Pimple this time. The lad has a third of his capacity. What did he expect? Lord Humber wiped his mouth, stood, and began to sing. A bear there was, a bear, all black and brown and covered with hair. His voice was not at all bad, though somewhat thick from drink. Unfortunately, the fiddlers and drummers and flutists up above were playing Flowers of Spring, which suited the words of the Bear and the Maiden Fair, as well as snails might suit a bowl of porridge. Poor Jingle Bell covered his ears with cacophony. Roast Bolton murmured some words too soft to hear and went off in search of a privy. The cramped hall was in a constant uproar of guests and servants coming and going. The second feast for knights and lords of somewhat lesser rank was roaring along the other castle, she knew. Lord Walter had exiled his base-born children and their offspring to that side of the river, so that Robb's Northman had taken to referring to it as the Bastard Feast. Some guests were no doubt stealing off to see if the bastards were having a better time than they were. Some might even be venturing as far as the camps. The phrase had provided wagons of wine, ale, and mead so that common soldiers could drink at the wedding of River Run and the twins. It is a little bit suspicious that they're providing alcohol to all of the soldiers after they complained that they couldn't afford to feed everybody.
Right.
Robb sat down in Bolton's vacant place. A few more hours, and this farce is done, mother, he said in a low voice as the Great John sang at the maid with honey in her hair. Black Walter's been mild as a lamb for once, and Uncle Edgar seems well content with his bride. He leaned across her. Sir Ryman. Sir Ryman Frey blinked and said, Sire, yes? I'd hoped to ask Oliver to squire for me when we march north, said Robb. But I did not see him here. Would he be at the other feast? Oliver? Sir Ryman shook his head. No, Oliver. Gone. Gone from the castles. Duty. I see. Rob's tone suggested otherwise, but Sir Ryman offered 2 more. He got to his feet again. Would you care for a dance, Mother? Yeah, but no. The dance was the last thing she needed, the way her head was throbbing. No doubt one of Lord Walter's daughters would be pleased to partner you. Oh, no doubt. The smile was resigned. There was something I want to say. Oh, I mean, Oliver, right? We've talked about Oliver a lot, how it's possible that he's the unnamed ward of wait, which house is that? Rosby? Rosby, right?
Yeah, Rosby. Is it Rosby or Derry?
No, Derry's the one that Lancel gets with Gatehouse Amy, so it must be Rosby.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
The musicians were playing Iron Lances by then. Great John sang The Lusty Lad. Someone should acquaint them with each other. It might improve the harmony. Callan turned back to Sir Ryan. I've heard that one of your cousins was a singer. Alessander, Simon's son. Alex is his sister. He raised a cup toward where she danced with Robin Flint. Will Alexander be playing for us tonight? Sir Robin squinted at her. Not him. He's away. White sweat from his brow lurched to his feet. Pardons, my lady. Pardons. Helen watched him stagger toward the door. Edmure was kissing Rosalind and squeezing her hand. Elsewhere in the hall, Sir Mark Piper and Sir Danlo Frey played a drinking game. Lame Lothar said something amusing to Sir Posty. One of the younger Freys juggled 3 daggers for a group of gaily girls, and Jingle Bell sat on the floor sucking wine off his fingers. Servers were bringing out huge silver platters piled high with cuts of juicy pink lamb, the most appetizing dish they'd seen all evening. Rob was leading Daisy Mormont to the dance. That is interesting. Looks like Rob wanted to discuss something with Kat. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. He may have wanted to dance with her specifically because he wanted to talk about some plans or something.
Yeah.
When she wore a dress in place of the hauberk, Lady Mage's, that's where I was, right? Rob was leading the Daisy Mormont. Yeah. Lady Mage's eldest daughter was quite pretty, tall and willowy with a shy smile that made her long face light up. It was pleasant to see that she could be as graceful on the dance floor as the training yard. Callan wondered if Lady Mage had reached the deck as yet. She had taken her other daughters with her, but as one of Rob's battle companions, Daisy had chosen to remain by his side. It has Ned's gift for inspiring loyalty. Oliver Frey had been devoted to her son as well. Had Rob said that Oliver wanted to remain with him even after he married Jane? Yes, he did say that. And of course, it does make sense that if the reason he's no longer his squire is because they weren't allied with the Freys, and now they're going to be allied with the Freys, that Rob would expect that he would rejoin them. That makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
Seated betwixt his black oak towers, Lord of the Crossing clapped his spotted hands together. The noise they made was so faint that even those in the dais scarce heard it. Sir Aeneas and Sir Hosteen saw and began to pound their cups on the table. Lame Lothar joined them, then Mark Piper and Sir Danwell and Sir Raymond. Half the guests were soon pounding. Finally, even the mob of musicians in the gallery took note. Piping, drumming, and fiddling trailed off in the quiet. At least the first 3 of these, Aeneas, Hosteen, and Lame Lothar, were watching Walter and waiting for this, it sounds like, right? Because nobody could
Yes, this is the original signal. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there probably was an earlier signal because Roos and Ryman were both trying to excuse themselves to put on their armor and pretend like they needed to use the restroom at approximately the same time.
The chances are the people that were sneaking out that they think were headed to the other feast to see if it was better were probably Frey men getting ready for getting ready for what's to come.
It's the butter, yeah. Yep. Your Grace, Lord Walter called out to Rob. The Septon has prayed his prayers. Some words have been said. Lord Edmure's rat pie sweetened in a fish cloak. They're not yet man and wife. A sword needs a sheath, and a wedding needs a bedding. What does my sire say? Is it meet we should bet them? A score more of Walter Frey's sons and grandsons began to bang their cups again, shouting, To bed! To bed! To bed with them! Rosalind had gone white. Callan wondered whether it was the prospect of losing her maidenhead that frightened the girl, or the wedding itself. With so many siblings, she was not like to be a stranger to the custom. It was different when you were the one being vetted. It was different when the wedding guests were to be slaughtered.
Yeah, that too.
On Catelyn's own wedding night, Jory Castle had torn her gown in his haste to get her out of it, and drunken Desmond Grell kept apologizing for every body joke and make another. When Lord Dustin had beheld her naked, He told Ned that her breasts were enough to make him wish he'd never been weaned. Poor man, she thought, he ridden south with Ned, never to return.
Sounds like Tormund to me.
Words to launch a couple of theories. I recommend Teflon TV's Proof Robb is not Ned Stark's son, except to shame his secrets, Robb Stark, true bastard of Winterfell. I say a couple of theories because dude thinks this sounds a lot like Tormund. I would like to see more evidence, but it is very suspicious that Tormund tells us he cannot read and then tells us a few very short paragraphs later that he could write with no additional training. Catelyn wondered how many of the men here tonight would be dead before the year was done. Too many, I fear. Well, that's true. Robb raised a hand. If you think the time is meet, Walter, by all means, let us bed them. A roar of approval greeted his pronouncement. Up in the gallery, the musicians took up their pipes and horns and fiddles again and began to play. The queen took off her sandal, the king took off his crown. Jingle Bell hopped from foot to foot, his own crown ringing. I hear Tully men have trout between their legs instead of cocks, Alex Frey called out boldly. Does it take a worm to make them rise? To which Sir Mark Piper threw back, I hear that Frey women have 2 gates in place of 1. And Alex said, Aye, but both are closed and barred to little things like you. A gust of laughter followed until Patrick Mallister climbed up onto a table and proposed a toast to Edgar's one-eyed fish. And a mighty pike it is, he proclaimed. Nay, I'll wager it's a minnow, Fat Walter Bolton shouted out from Catelyn's side. Then the general cry of bed them, went up again. The guests swarmed the dais, the drunkest in the forefront as ever. The men and boys surrounded Rosalind and lifted her into the air, whilst the maids and mothers in the hall pulled Edgar to his feet, began tugging at his clothing. He was laughing and shouting bawdy jokes back at them, but the music was too loud for Catelyn to hear. She heard the great John, though. Give this little bride to me, he bellowed as he shoved through the other men and threw Rosalind over one shoulder. Look at this little thing, no meat on her at all. And of course, the other time in the canon where we see a bedding is a similarly large man, and that it's dung, right?
Right.
Catelyn felt sorry for the girl. Most brides tried to return the banter, or at least pretended to enjoy it, but Rosalind was stiff with terror, clutching the Greyjohn as she feared he might drop her. She's crying too, Catelyn realized as she watched Sir Mark Piper pull off one of the bride's shoes. But Edgar is gentle with the poor child. Jolly bawdy music still poured down from the gallery. The queen was taking off her kirtle now, and the king his tunic. She knew she should join the throng of women round her brother, but she would only ruin their fun. The last thing she felt just now was bawdy. Edgar would forgive her absence, she did not doubt. Much jollier to be stripped and bedded by a score of lusty laughing Freys than a sour-stricken sister. As man and maid were carried from the hall, a trail of clothing behind them, Catelyn saw that Robb had also remained. Walter Frey was prickly enough to see some insult to his daughter in that. He should join in Ross's bedding. Was Black Place to tell him so? She tensed until she saw that others had stayed as well. Peter Pimple and Sir Wendland Frey slept on, their heads on the table. Merritt Frey poured himself another cup of wine. Of course, Merritt Frey is our Frey POV. Anyway, while Jingle Bell wandered about, stealing bites off the plates of those who left. Sir Wendell Mannerly was lustily attacking a leg of lamb. Of course, Lord Walter was far too feeble to leave his seat without help. He'll expect Robb to go, though. She could almost hear the old man asking why his Grace did not want to see his daughter naked. Drums were pounding again, pounding and pounding and pounding. Daisy Mormont, who seemed to be the only woman left in the hall besides Catelyn, stepped up behind Edward Frey and touched him lightly on the arm as she said something in his ear. Edward wrenched himself away from her with unseemly violence. No, he said too loudly. I'm done with dancing for the nonce. Daisy paled and turned away. Catelyn got slowly to her feet. What just happened there? Doubt gripped her heart, where an instant before had been only weariness. It's nothing, she tried to tell herself. You've seen drunkens in the woodpile. You're becoming an old silly woman sick with grief and fear. Something must have shown in her face. Even Sir Wendell Mannerly took note. Something amiss, he asked, holding a lamp in his hands. I have a bad feeling, says Pod.
Yep.
She did not answer him. Instead, she went after Edwin Frey. Players in the gallery had finally gotten both king and queen down to their name-based suits, scarcely a moment's respite. They began to play a very different sort of song. No one sang the words, but Catelyn knew the reins of Castamere when she heard it. Edwin was hurrying toward a door. She hurried faster, driven by the music. 6 quick strides, and she caught him. And who are you, the proud lord said, that I must bow so low? She grabbed Edwin by the arm to turn him, and went cold all over her when she felt the iron rings beneath his silken sleeve. Catelyn slapped him so hard she broke his lip. Cat draws first blood. Olivar, she thought, and Perwyn, Alexander, all absent, and Rosalind wept. Edwin Frey shoved her aside. The music drowned all other sound, echoing off the walls. The stones themselves were playing. Rob gave Edwin an angry look and moved to block his way, and staggered suddenly as a quarrel sprouted from his side just beneath the shoulder. He screamed then, the sound was swallowed by the pipes, horns, and fiddles. Catelyn saw a second bolt pierce his leg, saw him fall. Up in the gallery, half the musicians had crossbows in their hands instead of drums. She ran toward her son until something punched in the small of the back, and the hard stone floor came up to slap her. "Rob!" she screamed. She saw Small John Umber wrestle a table off its trestles. Crossbow bolts thudded into the wood, 1, 2, 3, as he flung it down on top of his king. Robin Flint was ringed by frays, the daggers rising and falling. Sir Wendell Mannerly rose ponderously to his feet, holding his leg of lamb. Cora went to his open mouth and came out the back of his neck. Sir Wendell crashed forward, knocking the table from his trestles and sending cups, flagons, trenchers, platters, turnips, beets, and wine bouncing, spilling, and sliding across the floor. Catelyn's back was on fire. I have to reach him. Small John bludgeoned Sir Raymond Frey across the face with a leg of mutton. When he reached for his sword, about a crossbow bolt drove him to his knees. A coat of gold or a coat of red, a lion still has claws. She saw Lucas Blackwood cut down by Sir Hostin Frey. One of the Vances was hamstrung with Black Walder as he was wrestling with Sir Harris Hogg. And mine are long and sharp, my lord, as long and sharp as yours. Crossbows took Donald Locke, Owen Norrie, and half a dozen more. Young Sir Benfrey had seized Daisy Mormont by the arm, but Catelyn saw her grab up a flagon of wine with her other hand, smash it full in his face, and run to the door. It flew open before she reached it. Sir Ryman Frey pushed into the hall, clad in steel from helm to heel. A dozen Frey men-at-arms packed the door behind him. They were armed with heavy long axes. "Mercy!" Catelyn cried, but horns and drums and the clash of steel smothered her plea. So Cat is often the mother asking for mercy. That's sort of her role in some ways, right? She's certainly symbolically the mother.
Right.
Sir Ryman buried the head of his axe in Daisy's stomach. By then, men were pouring in the other doors as well, mailed men in shaggy fur cloaks with steel in their hands. Northmen! She took them for rescue for half a heartbeat till one of them struck the small one's head off with 2 huge blows of his axe. Hope blew out like a candle in storm. Like a candle in the wind. In the midst of slaughter, the Lord of the Crossing sat on his carved oaken throne, watching greedily. There was a dagger on the floor a few feet away. Perhaps it had skittered there when the Small John knocked the table off his trestles. Perhaps it had fallen from the hand of some dying man. Catelyn crawled toward it. Her lips were leaden, and the taste of blood was in her mouth. I will kill Walder Frey, she told herself. Jinglewell was closer to the knife, hiding under a table. He only cringed away as she snatched up the blade. I will kill the old man. I can do that much at least. The tabletop the Small John had flung over Rob shifted. Her son struggled to his knees. He had an arrow in his side, a second in his leg, a third through his chest. Lord Walder raised a hand and the music stopped, all but one drum. Catelyn heard the crash of distant battle and closer to the wild howling of a wolf. Grey Winch. Lord Walder cackled at Rob. The King of the North arises. Seems we killed some of your men, your grace. Oh, but I'll make you an apology. That won't mend them all again. Catelyn grabbed a handful of Jingle Bell Frey's long gray hair and dragged him out of his hiding place. Lord Walder, she shouted. Lord Walder! The drum beat slow and sonorous. Doom, boom, doom. Enough, said Catelyn. Enough, I say. You have repaid betrayal with betrayal. Let it end. She pressed her dagger to Jingle Bell's throat. The memory of Bran's sickness came back to her. The feel of steel in her own throat. The drum went. Boom, doom, boom, doom, boom, doom. Please, she said. He's my son. My first son and my last. Let him go. Let him go, and I swear we'll forget this. Forget all you've done here. I swear it by the old gods and new. We'll take no vengeance. Lord Walder peered at her in mistrust. Only a fool would believe such blather. Do you take me for a fool, my lady? I take you for a father. Keep me for a hostage. Edmure as well if you haven't killed him. But let Rob go. No, Rob's voice was whispering. Mother, no. Yes, Rob, get up. Get up and walk out. Please, please, save yourself. If not for me, for Jane. Jane grabbed the edge of the table forced himself to stand. Mother, he said, Greywind, go to him. Now, Rob, walk out of here. Lord Walter snorted. Why would I let him do that? She pressed the blade deeper into Jingle Bell's throat. Blackwood rolled his eyes at her mute appeal. Foul stench assailed her nose, but she paid it no more mind than she did the sullen, ceaseless pounding of that drum. Boom, doom, boom, doom, boom, doom. Sir Ryman and Black Walter were circling round her back, but Catelyn did not care. They could do as they wished with her, prisoner, raper, killer, it made no matter. She'd lived too long, and Ned was waiting. It was Rob she feared for. On my honor as a Tully, she told Lord Walter. On my honor as a Stark, I will trade your boy's life for Rob's. A son for a son. Her hand shook so badly she was breaking Jingle Bell's head. Boom, the drum sounded. Boom, doom, boom, doom. The old man's lips went in and out. The knife trembled in Catelyn's hands, slippery with sweat. A son for a son, he repeated. But that's a grandson, and he never was much use. A man in dark armor and a pale pink cloak spotted with blood stepped up to Rob. Jaime Lannister sends his regards. He thrust his longsword through her son's heart and twisted. Rob had broken his word, but Catelyn kept hers. She tugged hard on Aegon's hair and sawed at his neck until the blade grated on bone. Blood ran hot over her fingers. His little bells were ringing, ringing, ringing. The drum. Boom, doom, boom. Finally, someone took the knife away from her. Tears burned like vinegar as they ran down her cheeks. 10 fierce ravens were raking her face with sharp talons and tearing off strips of flesh, leaving furrows that ran red with blood. She could taste it on her lips. It hurts so much, she thought. Our children, Ned, all our sweet babes. Rickon, Bran, Arya, Sansa, Rob. Rob. Please, Ned, please make it stop. Make it stop hurting. The white tears and the red ones ran together until her face was torn and tattered, the face that Ned had loved. Catelyn Stark raised her hands and watched the blood run down her long fingers over her wrists, beneath the sleeves of her gown. Slow red worms crawled along her arms and under her clothes. It tickled. Made her laugh until she screamed. Mad, someone said. She's lost her wits. Someone else make an end, and the hand grabbed her scalp just as she'd done with Jingle Bell, and she thought, no, don't cut my hair. Ned loves my hair. Then the steel was at her throat, and its bite was red and cold. Up next, Storm 52, Arya 11. His axe took her in the back of the head.
Damn, I hate that chapter.
Yep. What about hate?
Oh, I hate it.
It's powerful.
Yeah, it's definitely powerful. If he'd have done that kind of chapter with Rob and Kat earlier in the story, before we were invested in them, or mainly him,
Yeah,
it wouldn't have carried as much weight. But having it been
definitely.
to the position that he put it in the story,
Oh, yeah.
Rob's death, and it sucks.
Yep. And it puts us, if you're in I have the 5-book collection of the ebook, and it puts us right at 50%, right there in the middle of what's been published.
What's that?
Oh, I have the 5-book ebook, and when you get to this point, you're at 50%. So it's right in the middle of the published work.
That's odd.
Yeah. So he says, lighter note, great John for matching cup for cup with the phrase, one job is to get him drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's of course merit our point of view at the end of this book. That comes back. She does have 9 lives after all, right?
What's that?
She should have 9 lives after all, right?
That's the cat.
Actually, if you count it, doesn't it work out that was it is it 7 lives for Beric? Because he's brought back
Yeah.
6 times.
It's been he's been
So
brought back
six times. So he's on his 7th life, basically, right?
Yeah.
And then Cat's brought back, and so between the two of them, they have 9 lives.
Huh. That's odd.
Anyway,
Now, does that mean that Barrett could be brought back an additional 2 times?
no, it means the Cat's on her 9th life.
Right.
Anyway, that's what I think.
Asking for mercy, chances are the theory is Arya gives it to her.
Yeah, either he did that so that Barrick would have 7 and it would be a holy number for Barrick, or he did it so the Cat would be on life number 9. Either way, kind of works both ways, right?
Yeah.
So.
I'm not in a very good mood now.
Yeah. We're not really done with the Red Wedding because we still have Arya's axe to the back of the head to go through. And
Yeah.
everything's going to be repercussions.
Yeah, but this one was the hardest chapter of the Red Wedding.
Of course. Nothing since Arya 5 has hit anything close to that. Of the Game of Thrones, of course. That's execution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both times, either right after or right before, she gets a bad haircut.
Yep. Yeah. In fact, she even compares her haircut to Yoren's haircut.
Yeah. So Ned and Rob are bookends to Arya's haircut.
Yeah, or both of her parents dying.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, man, I don't really want to talk anymore right now.
Well, and one of the things we talked about before was, all right, you want to wrap up? But I was going to say one of the things we talked about before was Barrick is specifically asked. She specifically asks Barrick about resurrection, and he says, "I can no more resurrect your parent than Thoros can, but I promise you, I will get you to Cat." Right, and so in the context of the question of can you resurrect my parent more than Thoros can, he promises that the Cat's going to that she's going to be Arya's going to be returned to Cat, and so it's very fitting that in order to keep his promise, he must at least try to resurrect Cat, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Yeah,
Well,
my joint's kind of drained. I'm sorry.
That's all right. And
it's an emotional chapter for me. I got no jokes. But it's Friday. Everybody have a good weekend. Thank y'all for joining us. Monday will be the part 2 Red Wedding with Arya. Thank y'all again for being here. Have fun. Take care. Stay safe. We'll see y'all Monday. I again apologize. It's a hard chapter. But
everybody's watching this stuff knows what's going on in our heads here.
All right, y'all be good. Thank you, Sanjay. Y'all take care. See you Monday. Bye, Richard.